Hey everybody, Riot Mort here with Riot Kent for our final Gizmos and Gadgets patch rundown, patch 12.3. We did it, we're at the end.
Yeah, it's shocking that we're already at the end. Holy crap.
Yep.
Wait, before we start, I want to congratulate More on hitting the 10th floor 1000
Oh
LP.
god,
And I
stop.
ran it down, so he's double of my LP now, so he can give me crap every day. But yeah.
I would never. Yeah, I'm going to keep playing my Decay games, and if I end up in Challenger, great. If I don't, I don't. But, we'll see.
Yeah, meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm ready for the next set. I lost too much LP trying to do some weird things, but it's fine. Copium, it's fine.
It's role reversal. You're me. All right,
Yep.
So last patch of the set, let's be real. The balance overall in 12.2B ended up in a pretty good spot. We still have some work to do. This patch is going to be fairly small. A couple reasons for that. One, we've got a lot to do for Neon Knights. We're being pretty ambitious with Neon Knights. We put a lot of focus on that, not as much here, to be honest with you. Two, a lot of the changes you're going to see in here are setting us up for a better Neon Knights. So there are things that we felt like we needed to do to get ready for that. And then three, the game's just in a good state, and we'd rather the competitive scene be able to sort of go in knowing what they're already playing rather than a giant meta shift. So we're not going to do anything crazy. There's no crazy for fun change this time. We might still do that at the end of 6.5, but this time it really didn't feel appropriate to be like, hey, more prismatic and gold. No, we're keeping it chill. So this is a pretty small patch.
Yep. Not much has changed here. Been really busy cooking up some cool stuff for Neon Knights. So, and everything else Mort said.
Cool. All right, well, let's go into it then. Let's get through this real quick. The biggest one, I already tweeted out about this, but the Tome of Traits rules. So, some quick backstory on this. As I explained the rules early December, it was you needed at least 5 units in. That's how I thought it worked. That's how it was designed to work. We were kind of being, a little iffy about the rules, but that was the general idea. A couple Challenger players correctly called us out on that. When I went and investigated, I was a little disgusted to find out that's not how it worked. It was actually working a completely different way, unintended, very easily exploitable. So we could have just brushed it under the rug and fixed it, but instead we decided to finally go, you know what, we need to redesign the system in a way that we can actually tell players how it works and be happy with that. So that's what you're getting here. Tome of Traits has been redesigned so we can tell you the exact rules. And the way it works is you count the total number of active and inactive traits. The more you have, the more tailored emblems you get. And by tailored, what that means is, let's say you're running, 8 different traits. Of those traits you see on your sidebar, 2 of them will be chosen and you'll get those emblems. You can use this to your advantage however you like. You know the rules. But we like that this is a much more transparent version of the system.
Yeah, and just to clarify, everything that's even if it's grayed out, like 1 out of 2 counts as part of this trait count.
Yep. So again, hopefully this helps be more transparent. It is a bit of a nerf. It is harder to get the emblems you're looking for, but we're taking that into account, and you'll see. So
yep,
cool. The other big change, this is a big one that we were saving for Neon Knights, but we decided to ship it out a little early. Prismatic Crown and Soul Augments are no longer offered as the second or third augment choice unless you have the first trait tier activated. So for example, on live right now, it is possible to get Arcanist Crown given to you without any Arcanist in. Or is it 1? I think it's 0 though, right?
I believe it's 1.
Okay.
1 Arcanist. But still, you're not really running an Arcanist there. You just kind of have like Victor on your board.
Yeah, I know Enforcer was the same.
Yep.
So we're tightening those restrictions, basically. We're tightening those restrictions, so now it's much harder to get them. You actually will be more likely to get them. So the TLDR of the goal of this change is that you shouldn't be in as many situations where you're looking at this going, what the hell? Why am I getting this? There are 2 exceptions, Mutant and Mercenary, to try to open up some options there. We think those have some creative options. But otherwise, again, TLDR goal here is that you should not look at your prismatics and go, what the hell? Why am I being screwed here?
Yeah. Oh, and just to clarify, there are some that allow you to get it even if you have 0, such as Enforcer, Scholar, just because they generally benefit your team, but that will no longer be the case.
Yeah.
We were originally going to ship this with 6.5, as Mort mentioned, but this is something that we think will drastically improve the prismatic game experience, and so we wanted to get this out to you sooner so you can have that. Also, it lets us gathered some earlier data in case there needs to be further tuning for this. But we think this is going to be like an immensely better improvement to the current system.
Yep. Cool. Socialite 2, we're buffing the mana per second. It's underperforming a little bit. That's it. It's still below what it was at 5, but this should be a little bit better.
Yep. Slightly stronger.
Yep. Runon's Hurricane. Runon's Hurricane is the AD item that feels like every AD champion needs to build. It is a good item. We're fine with it being a good item. It's a little too mandatory, though, so we are nerfing it just a tiny bit to try to bring it more in line with some of the other AD items. And right now we are seeing a bit of an AD-heavy meta. This should kind of nudge that right back into hopefully a little bit better balance.
Yeah, in general, this is a nerf to, because basically every AD comp wants to run this, and so this is a general nerf to those comps which are being kind of dominating the meta right now, or like being really strong in the meta, not necessarily dominating. But
yep.
So we're just pulling that back slightly.
Yep. Augments. So as we mentioned, Tome of Traits is being nerfed a bit. This is a little intentional. We want to make sure that like when you drop a Tome of Traits, it's not quite as powerful. So that being said, Ancient Archives, which gives you a Tome of Traits, is now a Tier 1 augment. This should be a very good Tier 1 augment now. I think, it's one of the few ways you can actually get something like Innovator emblem at 1/4 still and be able to build around that. So having that as a Tier 1 should be very exciting.
Yeah, it's something fun that you can play around and see it a lot more commonly. And I'm ready for all the milk comments that are like, they got a free tome, free Tier 1 augment now. It's no longer Tier 2, so now he has a Tier 1.
Yep. Exiles 1 and 2 overperforming a little bit. Especially for generic, they are especially really good in reroll comps like Yordles. So just bringing those down a tiny bit, 5% each.
Yep.
Shrug It Off. This is one we might get a little grief for, but we brought it down to Tier 1. And now we're bringing it back to 2.5%. We believe, and we'll see if that catches on, that early game, this augment is just way too dominant. If you get like a 2 or even 4 brawler start or a Cho'Gath start with Shrug It Off in the early game, it is incredibly difficult to beat. And for a Tier 1, from our perspective, it was almost as powerful as Built Different in the early game, which is not really what we're intending. So for now, we are nerfing it a bit. If we have to make further changes, we will. But for now, this is getting a bit of a nerf.
Yep, Mort covered it.
And then Sunfire Board, kind of a mediocre augment. It's one of those ones you take if you never hit a Morello or a Sunfire. But it was a little underperforming for where we like it, so we're letting it last 2 more seconds. That's 2 more seconds of burn, 2 more seconds of anti-heal. Should be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the 2 seconds of anti-heal will be especially important, just so that if you're really trying to halt the healing, you have more time to burst them down before they start healing at full percentage again.
Thrill of the Hunt. We removed Thrill of the Hunt 3 last patch. Thrill of the Hunt 1 and 2 underperforming just a little bit. So Thrill of the Hunt 1 gets a bit of a buff from 300 to 400. That's a pretty big buff. Thrill of the Hunt 2, a little less of a buff, but 600 to 700 should make these a little bit more appealing options for how often they show up.
Yep, just generally strong augments, but they were underperforming just slightly, and so we're bringing them up.
Yep. And then finally is Underdogs. And I admit, Kent, I look at Underdogs and I'm kind of ashamed of like where we started. Looking back, like this thing is down to 9%. It's still overperforming at 10%.
Yep.
And what did we launch at? 15?
Yep, without a cap.
Yep. So definitely missed the mark on the balance on this augment, that's for sure. As we continue to nerf it even more. My guess is this augment will still be good. It's high enough on the data that it needs this nerf. So here we go.
Yeah, long term, I think there needs to be some more work done on this augment, but for now, this is the Band-Aid nerf that's going in place, just because it's kind of good right now.
Yep. Bodyguard. I mentioned this in the patch postmortem, but we overshot the nerf just a little bit, real tiny. So we're just giving Bodyguard 2 5 armor back, Bodyguard 4 10 armor back, just a little bit, because we want you to be excited when you hit like an early 4 Bodyguard. And that nerf hit it pretty hard, so just bringing that back up a tiny bit.
Yep, just a little bit.
Cool. More augments. High Roller, we're confident we can give it a little bit more gold. We didn't want to overshoot it last time, so that's at 8 gold. Knife's Edge 2 and 3 overperforming a little bit, so we're taking 5 AD from both of those. Mercenary Heart and Socialite Heart, we're getting rid of that 1 gold we mentioned was a mistake last patch. It was never intended to have it. You lose your gold, sorry. Now Mercenary is unplayable. Sorry, you just don't have your gold. And then, yes, Milk, if you want to rub it in my face, you go right ahead. But Windfall did need a buff, so we're giving it 3 more gold at the first stage. So Windfall gets that buff. Milk, you can have this one. So maybe you'll take Windfall now.
Yeah, I ultimately, we're not trying to make this like a super good augment that you should always take on 1-4. We just want to make it like feel slightly less bad if this is your like one cop out option where it's like I just need a little bit of power. I don't want to go into the other 2 augments. Just making it feel slightly less bad in those situations. But yeah, finally got the buff through Mort.
Yeah. And then bug fixes. Innovator Heart no longer incorrectly states that it grants a singed. It was never meant to. Oops. High-end shopping units now reflect the actual level 7 and 8 and 9 changes. Sorry for the spaghetti. And this one's hilarious, but Talon will no longer instantly kill units if his bleed triggers the smoke bomb augment on an enemy unit. So we were seeing reports of Talon insta-gibbing Shaco. That should not happen anymore, so fix that issue.
Yep. Bug fixes are good, but basically Talon used to do the entire burst when it got cleansed, and so he no longer does that, which is good long term. Yeah.
Cool, and that's it. You'll notice no champion changes, barely any trait changes, mostly focused on augment improvements. That's it. Now, that being said, we will check the data on Monday and see if there's anything we need to sneak in at the last minute. We aren't, ignoring the live state or anything like that. But from what we can tell and what the data looks like, pretty good state right now, so not a lot to go in here. Hopefully this should give the competitive players a good read. If you're trying to push the last bit of your climb, shouldn't be a crazy relearning or anything like that. And for those that aren't, PBE will be live at the same time anyway, so should be fun.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we won't need to do anything next week before this patch goes live and add any more changes, since we have to do a long process for that, and we want to focus on making 6.5 as great as possible. But we're definitely not going to neglect it if it's necessary. Definitely going to check the data, go through all the resources we have, and see if we need to make any more changes. And if we do more, we'll let you know.
Yeah. All right, and that's it. I could talk about how we're excited for Neon Nights and blah, 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 and tease everything. But look, today is Sunday. You're seeing the video on Sunday. All the stuff's going to start coming out in the next day or two. So let's just leave it at that. There's a lot of cool shit coming out. Look forward to it. It's going to be crazy. Honestly, I think the TFT team is I think we've proven time and time again, we're just out of our minds and like blowing away expectations and probably doing too much. And I don't think Neon Nights disappoints in that area.
Nope. Don't think so. Excited for next week. Only a few more days for us, but 1 day for you all.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's gonna do it. Good luck with the rest of your climb. Hopefully, you reach the rank you're trying to get to. Mid-set resets it a bit with that soft reset. Should be fun again. So, yeah. All right. That's gonna do it from us. Until next time, take it easy.
Goodbye.